I'm not sure how it worked in the breakout rooms, but it's a learning curve for me as well, that one. Okay, so Adrien, Paul, and Lise, I'm going to put you all on a spotlight. So, Paul, spotlight, Adrien. Okay. So when you're ready, are you ready to start? Yeah?
Yep.
Yep.
Go.
Yes. Okay, how many people in this room connected with someone outside of this conference by using computer or smartphone? And now I ask you a second question. How many of you connected with people sitting just next to you? So I don't blame you. I think it's the case of everyone here, and this is due to the informative technology. So the computer, the smartphone, and all the virtual tools we have to connect all together. And so today we will talk to you about that.
So as you can notice, we use informatic technology all the time, everywhere on the world and on the world. So it's not only useful, it's even necessary today. I mean, globally, everybody uses it, and we need it actually to make the world working. So, and more specifically, informatical technology can be used for communication in general, sharing some information in the private life, but also in the professional life. And we can learn a lot of things. So we know that it's very useful, but there is also some risk that come with that, that's technologies. For example, the connection that we made with technologies are not always real. We all know that it's easier to lie, it's easier to keep secrets, we can say. And also we know that the use of that technology can be risky. Like we can so for example, for the data, we can be pirates attacks, like it's risky.
Hack, yes.
Yeah, hack, thank you. So that's it. And also, yeah, sorry, I have my list. And also, we also know that technology comes with an environmental cost. So, I mean, so there is a lot of advantage and benefits to use technology, but also there is a lot of risk and disadvantage. So for the solution, we can educate more people, like make them aware that they need to use it safely. And also we can, the companies or the government or all the organizations that can have an impact on that, then build that, or they should make something too. And they can make something to build, I don't know how to say it, but to make it safer.
Improve safety, yeah.
And that's it for me. Sorry, it's not a very so
and then when we talked about this subject together with Liz and Paul, we were thinking more or less the same thing, that IT information technologies are some very useful tools in our life for our job, to keep contact with people of our family or friends living abroad or traveling. And that is a very nice stuff for us, but in the same time, it's not the end purpose of our life. It's just a tool that we have to control in our life, to not be dependent of that, and to do not develop all the stuff that Lisa has presented to you before. And that was maybe the summary of our message, is that it's very important tools in our life, but we have to keep in our heads that it's important to control it, to take care of us. And finally, we can say that IT is like a great power, but it comes with a great responsibility for all of us in the society.
Good.
Thanks. Thank you.
Well done. Okay, so well done. So can the people who are watching give some feedback, positive feedback? So what did they do well in terms of the beginning, the middle, and the end? And did you see the narrative, the story? Did you see the process that he'd used? Can you give some feedback?
Yes.
Anthony.
Yes, I think that just like Paul started, starting with the fact that we are connected through IT, that's a very powerful message. Right away, you just begin to become aware that we are not seeing people physically, but through IT, and for me that was positive. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I haven't never thought about it.
Yeah. So you also the process he used was a rhetorical question. So he did use a rhetorical question, and that rhetorical question was, it made us rethink and think, this is what, and actually especially the bit about, there was also a bit of humor there, wasn't it? Because there was, to me, it's like, how about, are you connected to somebody sitting next to you? And there's a famous comedian in England who did a sketch about this thing where it says, somebody sat there saying, what are you doing? And the person says, I'm sat next to you watching the TV. What are you doing? And basically they're both doing the same thing, and they're only talking through text. So, so that was a really good point. There was this, there's a little bit of humor, there was a rhetorical question, and there was something that made us think, so that's great. So then we went on to the middle. What did you think about the middle?
Can I say something?
Yeah,
I really like, because especially because I think Liz has the perception that she's not a great speaker, but you're really authentic. You're really authentic, because when it's not making a mistake, but you're not with the one word, as I am right now. I'm not having the word in my to say it. And you do it really well, really authentic, with the authenticity. And I think that's a good point for you, because then you give a little bit of humor, you loosen up the audience as well, because you were giving a lot of detail on the safety of IT and all the problems. And I need to say, but that's not a Liz problem. I think it's the content problem. It's really boring. But I think you said it, so you were really loosened up. So it was, I really like that. And just to finish my feedback, sorry, I really love the take-home message with the great responsibility, like with the catchphrase. It was awesome. I really liked it.
Okay,
sorry.
Thank you.
So I think in terms of the middle, you tried to give us like the challenge. Well, you stated though the status quo as well, didn't you? So you said this is what IT does, because if you remember when I gave you this topic, the IT one was like the positive topic, and climate change was more the negative. So
the negative one.
Yeah. So you clearly outlined for us what you thought the positives were. So that was like the first part. And then you said the challenges are the risks involved with that, and the fact that people don't really tell the truth about their lives through IT, and how we need to control it. So I thought that you had, did you? Yeah, I think you did give an opinion, really, because I sort of felt more that the opinion came with Adrien when he said when we were talking about it. So I felt as if we also had the thing where Adrien, which I really liked, where he said when we were discussing it, which was a sort of like an opinion thing, like we all agreed. So it sort of brought it together nicely. And I really like that technique as well that you used there, Adrien. And also for the conclusion, you did summarize and go back to the beginning. So I think even though that was quite simple, because that's all you had the time for, you followed all the process that we said to follow. So I guess what I would ask the group is then, did you have, what Anthony, Solmaz, Anna, or Tristan, what do you think the take-home message of their presentation was? Anybody? Oh, you're muted.
Anna is saying it.
Yeah, okay,
Sorry.
Anthony, go, you go, it's fine. Or
Anna, you are
actually, no,
saying
let's because Anthony and Anna have spoken. Solmaz, do you want to give us the take-home message? I'm going to pick on you. What do you think when you finished listening to that was your take-home message?
As Adrian said, responsibility of people. But there is something which I didn't understand. Okay, you said that there are some advantages. Okay, what is the solution for disadvantages? I didn't get this part.
For the solutions for the disadvantages.
Yes, what was the solution?
I think they will carry on. I think the responsibility was the solution, wasn't it?
Yes, was it?
Yeah, make aware people, like educate people, and
Educate,
also
yes.
So I got
But
it right.
also
Okay.
government can put limits and
Regulate,
and
Yeah, the
regulate
laws, the
IT,
law regulations. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I
key
know it was a little
messages.
bit.
So key messages are responsibility to say to tell the truth.
Yeah, I think that slightly there, you did make the point about the social media companies and the government. Yeah. So what I want to do just before we go on to the next one is there's a couple of things in terms of I think that would be helpful for everybody in terms of pronunciation or vocabulary that would be helpful for everybody in the group. So I'm just going to put a couple of things in the chat and then say, so we say information technology, and obviously we say IT a lot. So I know it's an acronym, but we do use IT. So I think you said did somebody say informatic technology? I'm not sure, but it's information technology. And I think at the beginning, if it was in an acronym, you could have quite happily said, so we're talking about information technology or IT, so that you could then have used the IT throughout, because we do use that in our everyday language all the time in English. Let's have a look. I think, risks, not risk, data control. Yeah, I think there was a thing about this word, which I think you all need to be able to say, and it's not an easy one. Does anybody want to try and say that out loud in English?
Environmental.
Who said that?
Me, Anna.
Oh, that's perfect. So it's environmental.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is how you pronounce environmental. I'm not sure how people would, but I just thought that was a good one for you to think about. Also, I think you mentioned this word. Oh, Anna's just mentioned it actually, which is interesting.
Authenticity.
Yeah,
exactly.
So there's authenticity, and then there's being authentic. Okay. Yeah. So I also think that the word pirate, you were trying to say that, people get pirate through, pirates, and obviously it's the idea is that it's hacking. Yeah. But you can use the word pirate. So that's, yeah. Let's make the world work. Talk to you. Set boundaries. I thought maybe what would have been useful is if you thought about maybe the expression about setting boundaries. Also, I think when it comes to talking about government or social media companies or tech companies, we could talk about legislating as a verb, but also legislation, which you could have added in there to say, you could have said, we need to set our own boundaries as individuals, but we also need tech companies to take responsibility. We need governments to legislate. I think just helpful expressions that would have been useful in that context. But that was great. So next we will go on to Anthony, Solmaz, and
Me.
Anna.
Anna.
So I'm going to replace the spotlight. Oh, where are they all gone?
Hey, I'm here.
Yeah, no, you're there, but I can't. I was looking for the others because I don't get to see everybody at the top. Anna, where's Anna gone?
Anna,
Yeah, it's okay. You're here.
does it
somewhere.
help?
Lisa,
No,
good to
it
see you.
doesn't. It doesn't. Where have you gone?
It doesn't pop when
Oh yeah, there
we
you are.
speak.
You are. You're right next to me. Sorry, I got. Yeah, that's okay.
Watching TV.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So, do you want to go next? Whenever you're
Okay.
ready.
You can start.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I ask you to think for a while about the most important issue in the world which we face today. According to the surveys, in 2022, after poverty, climate change is the most important issue which we face today. What do you think about it? Is that important? What are the reasons of climate change? What are the effects? What are the solutions for this issue? And what can we do to limit it? Think for a while about these things. And then Anthony.
All right. So imagine how diverse people, especially the poor in rural Africa and Asia, are losing their livelihood. Most of them, agriculture is losing their livelihood to climate change. Imagine just last year in France, specifically in Montpellier, imagine rivers drying and a lot of animals dying that are supposed to be in the rivers just dying off. Imagine the amount of fire outbreak, even in France, that occurred just last year due to climate change because there were exceedingly high temperatures. So issues of climate change are things that nobody can sweep under the carpet, especially in this 21st century.
So when we thought about the challenge or the major challenge of climate change, we thought first the lack of understanding of what is happening, especially in poor country or in poor livelihood countries, what is happening to people. And the second one is how can people, the general public, be involved in the solution to this challenge. So the main or the big solution first is awareness, and I think it was the same for the IT problem. So if people are aware, if people have knowledge of what is happening, of what climate change means in all its broad spectrum, they can have a better understanding of what is happening and what are the consequences of climate change, not only on their lives, on their own lives, but also on faraway lives, as Anthony said, in Africa or in Asia. The second one, and especially to get people involved in the solution, is training. So in our opinion, if we educate and we train people how to be more proactive in, for example, consumer habits. So for now or nowadays, I think people that are more environmental consciousness, have more environmental consciousness. They will think before buying a new car first if they need a new car, and if they need it, if they can afford, for example, an electric car instead of a combustion engine one. So it's training for that. It's training to have more intrinsic behaviors that are not fueling the climate change. So the problems that are provoking climate change. And I think that's it.
Okay, after having discussed this important issue, what do you think about the key message of it? Anthony, can you tell us the key message of it?
All right, so like we know, climate change has come to stay. Not even Trump can write that off, as he said that it was a scam. It's really not a scam, because there's so much on ground for us to know that climate change has come to stay. So the message is simple. We need more training, train people. We need to create awareness. It's not enough for people to know that there's a problem. How do everybody who is connected to this problem become so empowered to be able to solve the problem? So this is the take-home message. This is the simple take-home message. Knowledge is power. And as we empower people, as we let them know what is happening, they should be empowered enough to deliver proactive solutions. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Yay! As Anthony said, knowledge is poverty.
Excellent. I love this journalistic thing going on here. We're on the TV journal. Now, Anthony, over to you. Fantastic. Okay, so ABIES, Paul, and Tristan, can you give us some, what do you think of how they did?
We are waiting for your feedbacks.
Yeah, they're waiting for their feedback.
Yeah, thanks. It was really nice to follow both of you, because it was well prepared with some exchanges with you. I really liked it on the form, and I agree with the topic and what you said about the payment channel.
Okay, so Adrien, go back to the beginning though. Can you tell me, Adrien, what they did at the beginning? So how did they do the beginning? Do you remember?
A long list of questions to involve. Us, and to how do you say that? Sorry. To put the subject on the table, and all of us were thinking about, and yes.
Yeah. Did you notice something? Did anybody notice something that was that Solmaz did that was particularly powerful when she was doing those questions, which I have not?
It was the pausing.
Yeah.
It was the pausing.
Okay, it was the pausing, and the thing is, that is really something that I'm going to say, that you need to use pauses, and it's very, very rare that I ever see anybody using pauses, because normally when you're doing a presentation, you're very scared of silence and you're scared of pauses. But actually, not only is it good for dramatic effect, it helps to check understanding, because if you're talking about a very complex subject and you do a small pause, the audience has time for cognitively the brain to catch up. And also, if you've got a monotone voice, pauses do loads of good things. And if you've got a voice that is difficult to understand because it's all on the same tone, having pauses stops and starts. So pauses are excellent. So if you can use pauses when you do your final presentations, I will be very happy, because not many people are brave enough to use pauses because they think, oh my God, I've stopped talking. It's a really good way of doing it. So she used a lot of rhetorical questions. I think the only thing I would have said that could have improved that bit is if you'd have said, how did you say it? Can you remind me how you actually said the first sentence? Can you say it again, Solmaz? Your first sentence, do you remember?
Yes, I said that. I ask you to think about the most important issue in the world.
Yeah.
What is
so
it?
I think
I started.
I think it would have been more. Yeah, I think that's right. But I think you could have made it into more of a question. So what do you think is the most pressing issue in the world? As opposed to say, I ask you to think about. The only reason I'm saying that is because when I hear you say, I ask you to think about, it sounds a little bit judgmental, and you're not doing it for that reason. Whereas a question almost says, what do you think? Let's bring people in.
Exactly, you're right.
I think there's a subtle difference between saying, you know, what is the most pressing thing, which is a bit like a teacher sort of type sentence, and trying to bring people in so that they're inside the same zone as you. But that's just a thing that I noticed.
Okay.
But I love the questions, love the pauses. And then Anthony, for a start off, the links between you, which we are going to talk about transitions, were excellent. And Anthony has I mean, this is not necessarily about message, but he's got a great voice for, he's just using emphasis in his voice, which is like, yes, he's like an actor. Good for you, Anthony. Very
Yes.
good. So I love the
He's our actor.
emphasis. Yeah, he's really good at that. And
Thank
then
you.
of course,
Thank you.
The context. What do you think that he did so well about the context that worked in what we were hoping to do? Because he'd asked the questions, but Anthony did something in the context that I liked. What was it that we'd... Anybody? You know, the things he was talking about, what did it do to you? Not just the other group. No, not Anna, just the other group. We know what you think because you're in that group. Anybody?
He gave a lot of example, like he gave a specific not story, but specific stories. And
but what did it do to you, Lise?
He make the emotional connection.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. So there was an emotional connection because he started off by saying, you know, people are losing their livelihood in Africa. And then he sort of brought it to the fact that, you know, he is in Montpellier, and he sort of said, you know, there was like these fires and the rivers were drying up. So it was emotional and very specific. So both things of those were very powerful because the emotional thing we couldn't deny, and also the fact that it was very specific. So it wasn't something that was vague. It was something very, very specific. So that was really great as well. So that was the context. And then Anna went into the middle bit. What did you think about the middle bit then? If I had to ask you like okay, so instead of just asking you a vague question, give me 3 points she made in the middle. Lise, Paul, Tristan, or Adrien. Anything that you think that she said in the middle.
To educate people.
Yeah.
So
to
education, yeah.
To make people able to understand the problem of the climate change.
Yeah. So she stated that there was a lack of understanding. That lack of understanding is a challenge. The challenge can be solved with education and training. And then on top of that, she did give us some very personal examples, didn't she, about how people can just be more mindful about climate change by, you know, like the type of car they buy and that sort of thing. So again, there were some nice specific examples. Okay, and then what did you think of the conclusion, the star conclusion here? Oh dear. Anything to add, Lise?
No, it was good. It was short and powerful. So we get the message. That's
yeah,
what
but actually it was really interesting because both Adrien and Anthony, you both used like these phrases, didn't you? Like knowledge is power, and what did you say with great what did you say? With power becomes something about becoming responsibility. Great power comes with the responsibility. So you both used like these catchphrase ideas at the end, which I thought was really nice. And so it sort of rounded it off really well. So well done. That was great as well. One thing I don't know why I put this down in terms of some extra things. I think you might have said something about conscious, being environmentally conscious, which is fine. But I think also to be aware, so being environmentally aware, that is a good expression to use.
Yes, thank you. It was literally translating from Portuguese because here we say it.
You can say that, you know, but especially having a conscience about the climate change. But I think being aware is a very easy way of saying it. And also there was just one thing in terms of that word. It's fueling.
Yes.
Yeah. So fueling things. I really like the fact that, does everybody know what this word is that Anthony used? Livelihood. Somebody's livelihood. Have you heard that word? Because I think that's a really useful term for the environment in which you're working as well. Let's think. Challenge, knowledge. Yeah, there's one thing you did say which was a bit strange, which you would never say. So for faraway lives, so you wouldn't say that.
No.
It doesn't sound very scientific. You could either say, you know, this is something that's impacting on us wherever you live in the world, and it's about being educated that it's not just happening in your own, sometimes we say in our own back garden in English. It's not just happening in your own back garden. We know that when things happen in our own back garden, people actually are more aware, but we need to educate ourselves. So it's whether you are near or far, however, you know, in different zones, because what you did by saying far away places made it sound as if you were far away from Africa, whereas in actual fact, Anthony is completely linked to that. So,
yes,
you know, in actual fact, you could have said, well, you know, like in the summary, you know, we've got people here on our call who are from around the world and who are, you know, experiencing climate change in real time, you know. And what was really interesting about Anthony is presumably you were talking about a subject about livelihood in Africa that you know about, and then you brought it to Montpellier as well. So you used both of that. So I just think it's, I mean, you know, it's just not an expression you would say faraway lives, but that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
Wherever you are in the world, we are being impacted. And the problem is, I guess, that if you're not being impacted enough, you're not aware enough to change your behavior. So
yes,
brilliant.
thank you.
So you all did an absolutely great job of that. I think we're going to we'll have a break now. This is sort of quite transformed what we were doing today, but it's really interesting. Can I just ask before we have the break, did anybody make notes about the process and how it worked when you were in these groups? Did you notice anything specific about the process for when we get back after the...
I can say something. I don't know if this is what you're looking for or
Yeah,
expecting. But for example, from the last session, so those 15 minutes that we had, we were discussing more philosophical questions about climate change itself, and there was a big discussion on that. And I think today we were really structured. No,
yes.
I think we were like, we had time to process that, okay, because we need to do a presentation, even if we say climate change doesn't exist.
Yes, because
obviously
we knew that's what we were going to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's really great, because the next point I was going to make is in terms of message, you've got the ideas, haven't you? You've got the purpose, the objectives, the ideas, and you're going to do the brainstorming, you're going to talk about it. But then at some point, you've got to rein it in. You've got to bring it back in, and you've got to structure it. So we'll talk a little bit more about structure and also some very useful phrases. But you starting to think about the structure, but also it's made you think, it isn't that obvious when it's a topic that you're passionate about to actually reduce it, is it? But you've got to look at how you are going to reduce it, and by asking questions and then starting with a clear structure. When you said a clear structure, I sort of gave you the structure this time, didn't I?
Yes.
I said there's a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
How difficult or easy did you think it was easy to follow that? Is it something that you would have done in the past? Is that how you would normally start when you were doing a presentation? How would you normally structure your ideas and thoughts when you were planning a presentation? Have you ever thought about it?
I think I will do this better than before after the session.
Yeah, but before, what would you, if I asked you without doing this, what would you say you do, the first thing you would do when you was trying to think of a presentation? How do you go about it? Because I know that, for example, for me, sometimes I'll take a big piece of paper and I'll draw all over it. But also, I also use PowerPoint to structure my presentations as well.
Yes.
Use it as a bit of a tool to start putting it down, and then I swap it all around. I mean, has anybody got any other techniques that you might want to share with people about how to structure things?
Yeah, usually, for example, this structure, I don't use it like this, but I think it's really good because
Yes.
in a way, intuitively, I think we all try to come up with a structure like this, even if the text is not like that. But for me, it's like, it's not impossible, but so I do the PowerPoint. Usually, I don't know if it's the same with my colleagues, but in my scientific field, usually the structure is the other way around. So I go first on the middle. So what results do I have? And how can I link this to a story, or how can I give context so everybody understands? For example, if I'm presenting to my family or my friends, if I'm trying to make them understand what I'm doing, I go the other way around. And also, I don't know why, but I always need to write like a speech, but as in I think it's because I'm more comfortable with writing a text and like a discussion text. So where we do the introduction, where we do the context and everything, and then we go through the argument. So why I'm doing this, why is this good, the examples, so the results, and then I do the sum up.
Yeah, but actually that's sort of like not a problem that's the way you do it, because what you're saying is you're going with the middle, which is the chunky bit of content, and then from that you're working out what you're going to do with the introduction and the conclusion.
Yes.
It's a good way of doing it, isn't it? Because the introduction and the conclusion has to fit the content in the middle.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean those are all good ways of addressing it. Okay, let's have did you want to say something, Anthony? You just leave.
Yes. Yeah, I wanted to also add that for me, over the period, depending on where I'm presenting, I remember just last year, somewhere is it October in Rome, I was presenting as an international conference, and the time was just 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this is the whole paper that I had to present, 7 minutes. So I had to cut. So sometimes, depending on, so quickly, I had to just think that what is the message? Because you have 7 minutes to present a whole academic paper that is about 25 pages. So quickly, there are a lot of things I had to cut off, introduction and all that I had to cut off, and quickly go to methodology and then the message. Yes,
Yeah, but some people are good at, like, for example, I think I probably use a strategy of putting everything down and then editing. But some people are good at going straight to the point, aren't they? So like, and that's a really good skill to have, where you know you've got 7 minutes. I need to go straight to methodology.
Straight to the point,
yeah. If you need to go straight to the point. So I think both ways are okay, but the way of just like putting everything down and then editing is obviously much longer. But the useful thing about doing that is you've probably got enough content on your slides to use for different things as well. So I guess it depends how you are and what you do. But I think you're right in that you can write a whole load of stuff and then you can go back to it and have to start again with like edit, because you just haven't got the time. So that's really good. Okay, so let's have a break. Is it because my computer is not the right time? Where's my phone? Is it quarter? What time exactly is it? Is it 42? Because my computer says 50.
Yeah, 43 now.
It's 43. Okay.
Right now.
Okay.
Yes.
So that is quarter for you. It's like 2:45.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's have 20 minutes. Is that okay?
Okay.
Go off screen, have a drink, have a bit of a break, and get some air. And then when we come back, we'll come back at 5 past. So yeah, shall I say Casa in your Casa 05? Okay, so I'll see you in a bit.
See you in a bit.
See you.
See you.
Tristan, if you're still there, can I just suggest something? Tristan, if you're still there.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on a minute. What I was going to say to you is, can I just have a minute? Are you okay to? Are you feeling well enough to keep on with the session?
Can you repeat, please?
I said, are you feeling okay to stay in the session?
Yes.
Yeah. What I think might be a good idea is, you know, like I have, everybody has like an individual session during this course to discuss the presentation. But actually what I was going to say today to people, if they wanted to have it sooner rather than later, it might be good for us to have a bit of a chat about this thing about the talking thing. Because obviously it'd be really good for us to talk about it. And also because now we're like running late today, you know, that mini presentation that I was going to ask 4 of you to do, I don't think we're going to have time for 4. So if you want, you could not present today and more observe and listen. And then we could have a bit of chat for between now and next Tuesday. Is that okay?
But I can present today. It will be done.
Yeah, yeah. It's just that I need somebody not to present, possibly, because I don't think we're going to have time for everybody to present.
Oh, okay.
But if you did, if you really want to, that's fine. Would you prefer to do it today?
It doesn't matter.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer today or not?
I don't know. So you can do what you want.
Right. Well, what I'll do is I will say that if you don't present today, that probably helps, because then it's only got 3 people. We can have a quick chat about how you're feeling anyway. And then because you don't need to, it's absolutely fine for you to step out of things that you can't, you know, that don't make you feel great. So that's absolutely fine. But if you're happy to keep on going, I think now we're going to be talking about, there's not really any chatting in small groups. So I think that'll be okay. And then we're going on a bit to presenter, and also people are doing some presentations. So I think it should be okay. But if you feel the need to have a quick break, just write in the chat to people, I just need a quick break, and that's it. Don't worry about it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, cheers. Speak to you later. Bye.
Thank you.